Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name's Collin. I'm a teacher, tarot oracle card reader, and I'm a singer and guitarist in the rock band Red Treasure, and I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking and it transforms their lives. And I am in San Diego, California.
And today we have a very special guest who we're excited to have back with us, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kelly Worster. I'm a chiropractor in Portland, Maine. Happy to be here and
Hey.
law of attraction enthusiast.
Yay, Kelly.
So we want to thank you for listening to our podcast. If you're listening to the audio version on Spotify, CastBox, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and thank you for watching us. If you're watching us on the Co-Creation Station YouTube channel, at this point we are posting a brand new episode every Monday morning, so if you subscribe to us on your platform, you'll be sure to get alerts. We want to thank you so much for liking this episode, for following us, subscribing to the channel or to the podcast, reviewing the podcast, whatever you are doing to help spread the word. These all help other people find the show, and we're really grateful to you for that. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can always leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you, and no matter how you're watching or listening to us, you can always email us at cocreationstation1111@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you there as well. Each week we start our discussion from a different jumping off point. And this week, Kelly actually has the topic that we're going to start jumping off from. So did you want to introduce it, Kelly? I'll let you introduce it.
Yeah. What if you don't know what you want?
Yeah. Great episode. All right. No, I mean, I'm jazzed about, well, did you want to say more about this? Do you feel like there's times where you don't know what you want?
No. Great episode, guys. No, I have a very dear friend who sometimes listens to this podcast, especially upon my suggestion, and love her dearly. We've been friends for 15, 17 years, maybe. And she is so intelligent, one of the best people on the planet, great mom, super competent, organized. Anything she wants to do, whether it's like repairing and painting her deck or redoing her, redecorating her whole house, she does perfect. She is so good at whatever she wants to do. And from the time I met her, she had just quit a job in the financial, what do you say, financial industry? How would one say that? And a very high paying job. And she left all that, moved to Maine, and was unemployed for a time and was financially, again, she's brilliant, financially able to do that. And was looking for the job of her dreams, but she didn't know what she wanted. And I recently, since then, she's been married and had a kiddo, and no longer married, but she's right now has a little kiddo, and so she's in the process of thinking like now ahead. Eventually she does have a job, and she's very content with that job right now, but it's not a career. And she's like, then I need to figure out what I want to do. So she's back in this place. She's really hasn't found what really sings to her. And she has always told me, I'm so jealous of you because you have these goals, and you knew you wanted to be a chiropractor, and you moved to Atlanta, and you did that for years, and then you moved back and started your practice, and so she wishes that she had that sort of goal setting ability. Well, not she sets goals, but I mean, as far as vision and what was really going to move her, sing to her. And so these people are out there, and I think it's just worth talking about.
It's funny because when we talked about this, having this be a topic, and I'm like, you guys do this because I can't relate.
Mm-hmm.
But as you were telling your friend's story, I'm like, oh my God, I can totally relate. Because in my 20s, when I worked for the Postal Service, I would ask people, what do you do for a living? And they'd say, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do you love it? Most people would say no. Every once in a while, someone would say yes. But I didn't know what I liked to do. Even when I was in my late teens, I didn't know what I liked to do for fun. And I completely forgot about that. It's because now I so know what I love and like. I'm more in tune with it than ever before in my entire life. But there was a time I had no idea.
And it was
Okay.
such a journey. I mean, would you agree? It's such a journey to find that, at least
It
in one area of your
it
life.
is, and you know what I keep thinking, because I've said this a couple times on the episode on our podcast, is sometimes it takes me a really long time to get what I want. And I was like, why is that with some things and not with others? But it's because I have so much resistance about it, because I'm telling the story. And so, of course, law of attraction is always responding. So here I am. I don't know what okay, you don't know what you know, it's not like it doesn't have a personality, but it kept responding to my, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And so somehow I cracked through that and then discovered, which is great. So,
Yeah, I think yeah, I think it's a great topic. I think a lot of people can relate, because I think there's sort of what I'm guessing is there's sort of two people out there. If they're familiar with the law of attraction, they're starting to learn about it. Maybe they watched The Secret once because a friend recommended it, or they've seen an Abraham Hicks video because, you know, somebody recommended it, or you know, and one person who is one type of person is somebody who hasn't felt like they've really had an overall direction in their entire life. They've just sort of done what was convenient or what was expected, or you know, what some parent or authority figure in their life told them they ought to do. I forget the author's name, regrettably, but the book I read, Essentialism, you know, he talks in the first part of the book about how he was in law school. It was like in his second year of law school in England, made a list of everything he wanted to do in his life, and the biggest surprise when he finished the list was go to law school was not on the list.
Right. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
everyone in his life had at some point told him it would be great if he went to law school. And so he heard all the outside voices and just didn't know to turn inward. And when he first did the list and realized, okay, I don't want to be in law school, he had no idea what else. Like, he'd never asked himself the question. So he didn't know, like, he didn't have any kind of large, you know, overarching desire to do anything in particular. It was a very scary moment. So that's one scenario where people really, there are some people out there that have just never really acknowledged, like, well, what do I want? What do I want in my life? Where do I want to live? What do I want to do for work? That sort of thing. I think the other thing, which I think, Kelly, you were talking about, and then Stephanie, you dovetailed off, and I've definitely had this, is like times or situations or areas of your life, like you're genuinely a goal, you know, you have a lot of desires, you're listening to those desires pretty regularly, like I feel like I do today. But then in one area of my life, or in one particular situation, or for one particular period, all of a sudden I don't know what I want, you know, in that part of my life. Like, I don't know if I want to stay in this apartment, or if I want to move to a different apartment that has more space, or it's an acquired neighborhood, or whatever. Or, you know, I don't know if I want to stay in this day job that I have, or should I pursue something else? And it's really like not defined. And when I listen to Abraham Hicks, which I still don't have a brief explanation of her for people who are, this is their first episode. She's somebody who channels universal wisdom, I guess. We'll just say.
Oh, I like that one.
And check her out on YouTube if you want. It's a complicated situation. But you know, listening to Abraham, it's like she's always talking about being what she calls tapped in, tuned in.
Tapped in, turned on. Tapped in, tuned in, turned on.
Yeah, which is like,
Cool.
you know, a great state to be in, where you feel like you're in the flow of your life and you're aware of your desires and you know how the law of attraction works and you're familiar with what we talk about, which is the art of allowing, which is how you work with the law of attraction so stuff that you want comes in as quickly and easily as possible. You know, that's sort of like one phase to it, but there's a lot of times where even the most driven, you know, goal-oriented people, you know, have these places where, like, oh, you know, I don't know. I hear this all the time where somebody is like going through a breakup of a romantic relationship, and someone will ask them, you know, in a group of friends or something, like, oh, so what are you going to do after this? And they're like, I don't know. Like, my whole vision of my life was me and this person. So now that that's ending, I don't even know what I want. I don't know if I want to start dating again. If so, when? I don't know what kind of relationship I want eventually, and I think that's really okay. But our culture is so goal obsessed. Like, I feel like there's such an element in our society that's like, well, you better know what you want because it's only the people who know what they want that get it.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
And they feel like there's something wrong with them.
which is not true. Which is not true.
right.
Well,
Right.
and I think we forget, and I'm constantly trying to remember this, is like when we're, they're going through that breakup and they don't know, during all those moments of not knowing, or things that they didn't want to have happen, or not liking what was going on, those rockets of desires are shooting off of like, oh, this person doesn't appreciate me. A rocket of desire is, I want a partner who appreciates me, goes off and is in their vortex and is being held for them energetically, and not even knowing that that's occurring in that moment. But then later on in life, being with a partner who really appreciates them, and then being like, oh my God, I remember when I was with someone who didn't, and now I have this wonderful partner who does, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think also, what if we don't know what we want? Sometimes I think it's like, I think deep down we do know, but maybe society, we think it's not acceptable, or, oh, I can't have that, so therefore we like stuff it. Or like, when you're talking about careers, it's like, well, I really want to do this, but how can I make money doing that? Or that's not acceptable, or how could I even do that?
Yes.
So there's all these there's so many components.
Yeah. And like you nailed it right in the beginning of this conversation, which is the resistance and and the attachments to the norms or ideas that what I really want can't, it can't work. There's no,
a lot of
people
that.
won't pay for that service or whatever. But I really do, knowing my friend as well as I know her, I really feel that she really doesn't know. It's not that there's something there and she's just squashing it. It's like she really doesn't know, as it just is what it is.
She doesn't know
And
right
so not right now. Yeah. Yeah.
The other
And
thing-
It's
I
there.
guess-
It's there. She put it in her vortex
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Question.
It's there. It'll come out.
But the
Sounds
question,
like someone who allows.
but the question I have, and this is a tricky one, and I try not to do this, but it's very difficult for me because I grew up in this culture in America, 20th, 21st century America, where we have this very specific culture around with all these like very overly reinforced ideas about what work is, what career success is, what you should be, what you should have by when you're 25, what you should have by when you're 30, etc. And sometimes I feel like somebody who's, and I don't know your friend, so I don't, or who it is or whatever, so I'm not saying specifically about your friend Kelly, but I just think in general there are people who, I do tend to believe, but this is just a personal belief, I don't push it on anybody else, that we have a truth about what to do next, and I'll explain what I mean by next,
I like that.
within ourselves. And really the only question is, are we going to access that, or are we not in tune with it and not accessing it? And that's really the only question. But I think there are people who are like, I feel like I probably even had this, where it's like their inner being is like the message that they're really truly desiring is, I would like to not work and work on relaxing and enjoying my life more for the next 2 years. But if that person is like, man, I can't figure out what career I should do, they're asking the wrong question. You know what I mean? They're still trying to figure out, potentially, they're still trying to figure out like, oh, well, in order to live up to this American cultural standard of like, I can only be a success and I can only be happy if I have a great career and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in the work world. But if that person's inner truth is like, you know what, you need 2 years off from work and you're not sick, you just need a break. You need gentleness. You need self-care. You need, whatever. It's going to be very challenging for that person, at least in this day and age in America, to like, hopefully somebody's watching this 200 years from now, like, man, remember those days where we're cut off from our intuition? But you know what I mean? So hypothetically, I don't know anything about your friend, and I'm not making any prescriptions here or anything like that. But like potentially, her inner truth might be saying, take 2 years off from work and just read books and be with your family or be with your friends and like travel, whatever. But if
That's a good point.
I'm not talking about her specifically, but just hypothetically, if she's been trained and by her authority figures growing up and her culture that like your number one thing has to be work all the time, then if she might be feeling like, oh, I got to figure out my work thing. And what I've noticed is like, and I think Kelly, I've heard both of you talk about this. Sometimes I'm like, well, I got to figure out this challenging thing that's going on in my life. And when I really get quiet and meditate or have a conversation with somebody who really knows me that I can be vulnerable with, what it comes out is like the solution. Like it might be a thing with a job that I'm doing, for money. And I think, oh, I'm having this problem with this job that I'm doing for money. And then I get quiet. I really get honest with myself. I reach out to somebody like one of you, perhaps, or someone else really close to my life, and I explain the situation. And when we're really tuned into what's really going on underneath, it ends up, it's not about the job at all. It's about something else entirely. Like I had a truth of something else that I couldn't access. And my intellectual, logical mind was like, well, we got to figure out this problem at the job, It's not about that, But that's the thing. It's like our logical, intellectual minds, which are great for many things and necessary, can really get in the way sometimes of like, but what do I really want? What's the real thing that my heart is actually telling me to go after here?
Yeah, and I loved what you said about the next thing. It doesn't have to be the big answer, the big solution to a life problem. It is following those steps. Even in my
like
experience,
the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, breadcrumbs. And even if it seems contradictory to the whole point of anything, of like, oh, I've been this far in my career, and for example, and how could me wanting this way over here in the opposite direction make sense? It doesn't make sense. So I'm not going to do that. But the thing is, that step may be your intuition, most likely is your intuition.
Exactly.
And just doing that next thing, like you said, Collin, that's all that's required. It's not if you're a lawyer, it doesn't mean you have, and if you're feeling like you're taking a step toward being a doctor, it doesn't mean you have to be a doctor. Like just take the next step.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That's great. And that's with everything, right? Just do the next indicated thing.
Right.
And something you said earlier was practice learning to listen and practice asking. Just ask.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know
asking our higher selves.
I know we're short on time, but just to bring it back to that example of the author of Essentialism, I think his name is Greg McKeown. I think I just remembered that. Like he had to accept that he was dropping out of law school for his truth to emerge. And as soon as he dropped out of law school, this is me, interpreting, but he had a whole bunch of law of attraction, art of allowing stuff happen. Like he got invited to talk in America at this conference, and then he ended up coincidentally talking to this professor who taught nothing but a field that he didn't even know was a field, but was super interested in, and offered him like some sort of opportunity to come over to the United States and study with him and do research in that area. And that led to his dream career, which ended up, part of it was that book that he wrote. So I mean, that's
things always work out for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything is always working out.
There's so much pressure in our culture for us to figure things out in our life alone in our logical mind.
And that's not how that's not how life is supposed to be for us. Yeah. We have so much help, physical and non-physical, and it's the learning to tap into both. Yeah.
I'm really curious about, as far as your listeners, because you guys know I'm an avid listener. I listen every week. Really curious on this YouTube channel, comments on the bottom. Have any listeners out there found help with this podcast? Is there a part of it that they want us to talk about more next time? Like, I'm really curious about that and see if it was helpful.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. I second and third that, and that was a great discussion. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. We hope you found something helpful or illuminating in it. We want to thank you again so much for liking the episode, following us on YouTube or your podcast platform, giving us a review if your platform allows that. All those things help people find the show. We're really grateful to you for that. If people want to find information about you on the interwebs, Stephanie, how can they do so?
Powerinjoy.com, POWERINJOY, and also same title on Instagram.
Okay, and
I look forward to hearing from you.
And Kelly, if people want to find information about you?
I created a new Instagram and I don't remember what it is.
Well, you can tell us and we'll put it down in the
Okay.
links.
All
So
right, sounds
if you're
good.
listening to the audio version and you're driving, you'll have to look at your phone or your computer when you get home. You can always follow me and send me a direct message. Love to hear from you on Instagram. I'm at Collin_Daniels_Worster. Collin has 2 L's and Worster is WORSTER. We want to thank you so much for listening and or watching the episode today. We're so grateful to you for supporting us and listening to us, and we're so glad you're getting something out of it. It really makes us feel good. We're going to wish you a happy, successful, and abundant week, and we look forward to being with you again on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.